It's kind of hard to believe that we're already at day 70.
I feel like it's not the end of something, it's the beginning of a lot of things. Even though we're not going to put on our jersey anymore, we still serve a purpose of listening and being there for people. It's been exciting that these past 70 days have taught us all that we are listeners and that we can be advocates for anyone.
Texas 4000 is truly a family of cancer fighters.
It brings people together and it gives them the opportunity to give and to share, to connect.
It's a chance to see people be vulnerable and to hear them tell their stories and to learn so much about what it takes to overcome tragedy and trauma and have a resilient and positive spirit and continue to spread a network that cultivates that type of optimism in the face of hardship across the country.
Someone once told me patients that have cancer, they fight like hell every day until they can't, and then they have someone else fight for them. And I think that's what this is. That's what Texas 4000 is. That's what the riders are. That's what the hosts, the alumni, staff, the entire Texas 4000 community and family. That's what that is.
What's so unique about Texas 4000 is the ability to go out and spread hope to communities, not just in Austin or major metropolitan areas, but also the small towns.
We say that not a lot of us would probably make a journey through those cities or communities just because they're a little bit smaller and not big tourist attractions. And we went through those communities with a mission and with the hope that we could meet as many people as possible.
Just a stranger that we meet on the side of the street, someone at a gas station, or a host that we've been spending the night with. We just ask like, oh, what are you doing here? You're just passing by. We're a group of cyclists. Would you like us to ride for anybody? That simple question turns a normal everyday conversation into something so much more meaningful. And Texas 4000 allows that because it's just a natural, encouraging home and a place for people to share their experiences.
We focused on the people.
To have these conversations and share these experiences, it makes life a little bit more normal and a little bit more manageable, and takes away from all the treatments and everything you have to go through, and it allows them to just take a break from that and take their mind off of things. And I think that's what's the most important part.
And I think by seeing our jerseys, it shows them that even though you don't have to talk about it, they know that we're there.
That there are other people out there fighting for them as they battle this disease.
And it makes them feel like their loved ones aren't forgotten, and it makes them feel like they're not forgotten.
I truly believe that there is no force strong enough to bring down a team that has become a family, and that's exactly what I see in my teammates. They are the people who know me best and have seen me at my worst and my best, and are still there for me every single day.
Every single one of my teammates has kind of been there for me and has never let me fall, whether it's physically or metaphorically.
Strength in numbers is probably my favorite takeaway for sure, because I have never felt more uplifted and supported and loved than I have these past 70 days.
Coming into Texas 4000, I wanted to be in a position of power and be making the decisions, and what I've found throughout this summer is really my leadership strength comes much more from empathy and knowing my peers and showing them that I am an advocate for them.
That's something I think all of my teammates have taken away from this summer, what it truly means to be there for someone who's fighting, and what it means to take on someone's fight when they're tired or weary or running out of hope.
So Audencia Ramos is my great aunt. She spoke Spanish, so I never had the opportunity to have a true conversation with her. I can understand it, but I could never speak it. So most oftentimes it was just at the family dinner table where I would hear all her stories and all her jokes and humor. She developed glioblastoma and passed away a couple years ago. Even through everything, she still maintained a positive outlook on life.
She really inspired us more, and she was so courageous. Sometimes it seemed like she was the one holding us up together when she was the one going through this difficult trial.
To see someone go through such an ordeal and still manage to have a smile on her face at the end of the day, is something I would never be able to understand because that takes so much strength.
It was interesting how sometimes she held it together more so for the rest of the family.
Even in the final days when she was bedridden and we knew what was coming. It was 3 days before she passed away, and she was sitting in bed and she looked to my mom and said, "How do I look? Can I still run with the Bulls?" And at that moment, like, my mom just started crying and kind of laughed, and they both knew, and she just said, yes, you can. Because of her, I wrote that down on a handkerchief and tied it to my bike, and it's made it all the way. It says, "Run with the Bulls." And every time I got up a hill, every time something went wrong, something was hard, she was there.
Just knowing that he was writing in her honor just makes her memory live on forever.
Through everything, she still made us look forward to the positives in life and look for the things that we thought were meaningless, but were actually the most powerful things to look forward to in every day. She's the reason why I ride, because I wanted to share that light with the rest of the world and that strength.
So we give programs throughout all the communities that we visit, and we're able to connect with our hosts and their communities in such a way that we kind of tell them, we start off by telling them what we're doing and why we're doing it and share our stories with them, but then we also share resources and information on how they can be proactive in this sense too. And so one of the coolest things that I thought we did was we challenged each community that we visited to do something for 70 days, because we're doing this bike ride for 70 days. So they can do something for 70 days, like quit smoking or just eat a healthy meal once a week or every day for 70 days. And I think a lot of people really resonated with that. And in that way, we were just able to empower communities in a small way, and they felt like they were also kind of with us on this journey.
I think one of the most important things with Texas 4000 is being able to reach out to the hosts along the way who each night house and feed and support us along the way.
Something that was consistently astounding to me over the course of the summer ride was the immense generosity that we saw from our hosts.
I think the biggest privilege I had was being able to thank each and every host along the route for their generosity, their hospitality, and the incredible welcoming spirit that each and every single host gave to our route, and that inspired me to be able to have that same welcoming spirit with teammates on a hard day, with people we would meet along the road.
So there's one host in Lexington, Tennessee, a woman named Pat Todd. We stayed up for probably 3 hours with her, just discussing life, how to be able to hear people's stories and not judge, and be a silent supporter or a loud supporter or any type of supporter that you need to be.
As students, we get to raise a pretty sizable chunk of money, and that's really exciting, but I think the most important part is we get to then decide where that money goes. Texas 4000 in the past has fundraised a lot of money that's gone to big research institutions like MD Anderson, to smaller cancer laboratories at the UT Biomedical Engineering Department, or larger support services like Brent's Place in Colorado, which is a clean place for people who have cancer, mainly children, to stay and live while they have treatment. At this point, the 2017 team has raised $718,000.
One particular teammate has raised over $100,000. That is just insane.
It's really exciting. I think that the more money we raise, the more money that goes to great places that need it.
My mom was set to host us day 35, which is exactly halfway through the journey. And the day we entered Montana, I got a call from my parents letting me know that my mom wouldn't make it to Montana. She was staying in the Netherlands, where they were living at the time, to get some scans for some bumps she found on her stomach. And on day 35, when I was in my home in Whitefish, I was able to see my sister, who came in lieu of my mom, and together we heard a diagnosis of advanced cholangiocarcinoma, which is cancer in the bile duct of the liver. That night when I drove to Glacier to meet up with the rest of my team, I was wondering how I would continue on in the journey. But that same night when I met back up with my team, I was greeted with people who cried with me and heard all of my fears and grief, and sang to me, and that was the same night I'd heard the diagnosis, that I knew I could continue on with the trip. But that was a time more than ever that I had to cling to the reason that I joined this organization, which was the belief that cancer truly isn't beaten by living or dying. It really is the way you live with it. And I knew no matter how incurable or aggressive or fatal doctors said my mom's cancer was, that she was going to beat it just by living and loving people well and being loved. And that's what got me here today alongside my teammates, was knowing that she would fight with every ounce of her being, just like the way I've tried to fight for her on the bike, and will continue to fight for her past this journey.
We're not only doing this in celebration of lives lived, but also in honor of fights that are currently ongoing.
In the fight against cancer, there's no losing. It's simply whether or not you made the world a little bit of a better place while you fought that disease. We get on our bicycles every day in the summer, getting from Austin, Texas to Anchorage, Alaska, not because we're in the lab researching how to fight cancer or because we're going through cancer treatment ourselves, but because that's the small role that we can play in the larger fight.
The way that I continue on with Texas 4000's mission as an alum will be deeply rooted in the idea that hope really can change a diagnosis and can change the way a family has to walk through cancer and fight that.
You can't lose the fight because the fight always continues. Until there's a worldwide cure that cures everyone of cancer, the fight will always continue on and you can't lose.
We are coming for cancer, and we are, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not this decade, but we are going to beat cancer.
A lot of people on this team are really devoted to that mission and making sure that that mission doesn't just stop once we get to Anchorage. I know that every single one of my teammates will carry that mission with them throughout the rest of their lives.